So first of all, how do I spend 85% of that conversation building trust and so the first thing I have to do is I have to get them to let their guard down. I'm going to show you how to do that with NEPQ connection questions. If I can get them to let their guard down, they emotionally start to open up. But most salespeople, because we're using these old techniques, trigger sales resistance early on and the guard comes up. And do you ever notice when you ask questions that you thought were good, a lot of your prospects give you vague, generalized, surface level answers? That's because they have resistance, right? Something you said or how you use your tone triggered them to stay surface level. They don't want to open up. So how do I change that? By getting them to let the guard down. I'm going to show you some examples. Then immediately, how do I get them into results-based thinking? Okay, if I can get this over, results-based thinking over price or cost-based thinking. I'm going to show you a few examples. How do I then help them find problems they didn't know they have? That's called problem finding. How do then I build a gap from where they are to where they want to be, not by telling them, that goes in one ear out the other, but by my questioning and my tone allows them to feel that tension themselves. And then how do I also prevent objections from happening? So if you're so everybody knows what objections you get for your industry, right? So how about I ask questions in that process that prevent those objections from even happening in their mind? Now, that doesn't mean you're going to prevent 100% objections, but if we could show you how to prevent even half of the objections you get now, by default, you're going to do what? Sell more than you are now, okay? And then how do we future pace? How do we get them to see what the future looks like once the newfound problems are solved? And all of this builds trust. I always say this, people buy from salespeople or companies they trust can get them the best result. They do not buy just because they like you, right? You like a lot of your friends, but would you ever do business with them? No, because you don't trust that they have the business skills to be successful. You're still like them, but you don't trust them that they can get you the best result. You love grandma, but you might meet a complete stranger selling the same thing as grandma, and if you feel that complete stranger is going to get you a better result than grandma, who are you going to buy from? You're going to buy from the stranger. You love grandma though, okay? Doesn't mean you want them to hate you though, okay? But liking you is just secondary to trusting you that you can get them the best result. Those are two very different things, okay? And then I only need to spend about 10% of that conversation or conversations presenting my solution to solve their problems, okay? Because I already know how to present it and position it in a way. So first of all, how do I spend 85% of that conversation building trust and so the first thing I have to do is I have to get them to let their guard down. I'm going to show you how to do that with NEPQ connection questions. If I can get them